All right. Welcome everyone to June 2025 Mindful Sex Workshop. These are free monthly workshops that I host with my beloved to help introduce you to sacred sexuality, sex magic, conscious play, and all things erotic and relationship and pleasure focused. I am your hostess, Andrea Devin Bertoli. I'm a pleasure coach and sex educator, and I run an online membership-based pleasure education platform on Patreon. I'll drop that link in a moment. And I host these free classes for you, for anyone who wants to drop in, learn a little bit more about this world, explore your sex, your sexuality, find out what pleasure might be for you, maybe in some different ways. So the practices that we'll drop you into today will help you explore what I call the erotic within. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. But I want to do an intro to me first and then an intro to my beloved. So, for those of you that don't know me, again, I work as a coach and an educator. That means I host events, that means I do sessions with individuals and couples, and it means that I host workshops both online and in person. So, I am here as your favorite sex witch to help you figure out all the different ways to know and love your body. And Christopher, who are you?
Hey, y'all, I'm Christopher Brown. I'm a certified sex therapist. I'm a clinical social worker, a psychotherapist. Been in practice over 20 years. I work telehealth in private practice. I have client availability Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, in my spare time when I'm not gallivanting around with Andrea, that's what I'm doing. So, if you have any questions about me or my practice, shoot them in the chat. And I'm also your admin for today. So, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat and I'll gather and monitor those as we're being recorded. So sometimes it makes more sense to put things in the chat as you're thinking of them. So feel free to do that, even though we're going to be guiding you through practices here at the front, and we'll do more of the Q&A at the end.
Thank you. Thank you, my love, for volunteering so graciously to host with me. The other thing about the chat box is that if you want it to be anonymous, you can send it to either me or Christopher alone so that the whole group doesn't see it. The chats are, we don't save them anywhere. So as soon as we do the event, they're deleted. So your name won't show up anywhere in the replay. Um, and again, your face is not being recorded. So I invite you to really be here today for the next hour, especially when we're really in the practices. I really invite you to be here. And some of the stuff that we talk about might be new to you. Some of it might be stuff that you've learned or that you just already know in your own beautiful body. And that's great. Tantra, much like yoga, or any, kind of practice that you do, whether you play piano or play tennis, like you can always explore more and get a little deeper. So this is a chance for you, if you are a beginner, to just like learn to taste some of these practices. And if you are a, intermediate or seasoned practitioner, welcome. You get to explore these practices with two new teachers and explore kind of our version of it. So, one of the things I want to start off exploring is again what we call the erotic within. So, when we think about things erotic, we often think about sex. And that doesn't have to be the case. Sex can be erotic. Sex can also be really boring or really routine or really performative and be missing the aliveness of eroticism. So when I talk about eroticism, it's not sex, right? It can be, but it's not exclusively sex. Eroticism is also your life force energy. It's your creative energy. It's your get shit done energy. It's the chase your kids around the yard and be a present parent type of energy. It's excel at your preferred hobby or sport or activity, right? It's tapping into this kind of innate force of nature within you. We live in a world that encourages us to be as distant as possible from our innate, pleasure filled, erotic, life force vibing self, right? We have phones that are in our face constantly. We have a 24-hour news cycle that keeps us distracted and distraught with all the things that are happening. And if you have a job, you are distracted not only between 9 and 5, but often outside of those hours that kind of pull you back in to the head, pull you back into the to-dos, pull you back into the checklist. I am absolutely guilty of this. Like, I am not floating around on some sort of like pink cloud of eroticism. I have moments of that. But, you know, being, we, Christopher and I did an MDMA journey a couple of weeks ago, and we were playing a little card game. And one of the questions was, tell me what it sounds like inside of my head. And Christopher did the most spot on impression. And if you have the bandwidth, love, I'd love for you to do it, just so people know that, like, this is who I am. This is how I show up.
Okay, so and y'all can do it if you're partnered or there with somebody. It's kind of fun to try. So the card was give me an impression of the inside of my mind, right? So Andrea says this to me, and I go, tired, leave me alone, tired, I'm asleep. I'm hungry. No, no. Tea? Ah, tea. Things. Do. Newsletter. Close. What? Huh? Over there. What? Now. Now? Yes. Get it done. All of it. Yes. Coaching. Learn. Teach. Feel. Masturbate? Ah. 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 Food. So that's a glimpse at the inside of Andrea. And this is a plug for something else I do as a sex therapist. So most of my clients are adults. All of my clients are adults, but they're older adults. And one of the things that shows up for y'all ladies in perimenopause and menopause are ADHD symptoms. So that's part of what you can expect. If you didn't get it as a child, you can get it as an adult woman. So that's a little insight into what ADHD looks like in this beautiful woman.
Yeah, suddenly I have ADHD as I'm 45. So we're working with that now also. I have lots of content about perimenopause if you want to talk about hormones and perimenopause. So please reach out. We'll talk about that. So, all that to say, Christopher's beautiful performance aside, this is not for most of us like a state of being. And so today's practices are meant to take you out of that and into your body, into your energy, into your breath, into sensation, into touch, and into this kind of sacred pause of self presence. This is a gift that we give to ourselves, and it is a gift that we give to our lovers. When we show up in our energy, in our integration, in our presence, our partners are going to feel that. If I show up busy, distracted, anxious about timing, oh, I only have an hour and a half to play. Like, what am I going to do after? What is next? What's on the grocery list? Like, Christopher's going to feel that too. And while both times might be fun, there is, I think, in me, a preference for that calm, centered, like in the moment, kind of integrated energy. And so the practices that we'll work on today will help you find that. And as a gentle reminder, these are practices, right? If you try something with us today and it doesn't quite land, great. Try it again later when you have quiet and space and time. Maybe you try a practice and you're like, oh, actually, I hated that. Like, that's okay too. We've definitely learned a lot of shit along our journey that, we take a little bit here and we take a little bit here, but not everything is going to work for you. So, Christopher will lead you in a breath practice, for example. This is the one that he really likes, the one that he likes to do. This is not a practice that I normally do. Nothing wrong with that. We are different humans. So before we drop in, I want to do just a little bit of housekeeping. So Christopher said a little bit of this a few moments ago. So if you are driving or, tending to tasks or small humans or, kind of running around and doing stuff kind of podcast style, that's great. You're welcome. Please stay. Please listen. But for those of you that are in a quiet space that have an hour or so to dedicate to this, I invite you to make yourself really comfortable. So that might mean moving your laptop to the couch or laying down on the floor. It might mean putting socks on so that you don't get cold. It might mean, fluffing your pillows or putting on a sweater, whatever that means. Make yourself very comfortable. And I'm going to give you a few minutes in a moment to do that. The other thing we're going to do is an eye gazing practice. So if you have a partner with you, great, you can do it with your partner. If you don't have somebody with you, you can do this in a mirror. If for some reason you don't have a mirror in your house or you can't access your mirror while you're on a call, no problem. You can also try and do it on your phone. Make sure you're on Do Not Disturb so you don't also get text messages while you're doing it. But we'll practice an eye gazing practice that ideally is done with two people. But again, it is really powerful to do it with yourself. If you don't have a person or a mirror or a phone with you, then just listen in and hold the practice and explore it later when you can. The other one we're going to do is a taste practice. So this is a mindful taste or smell exercise. So what I would recommend is gathering some dried fruit or some fresh fruit or a bar of chocolate, right? Christopher has his bar of chocolate. I have this delicious one, very appropriate, called Big Orgasm that our sweet lover gifted us. It's very good. Uh, so something sweet, probably not something like Doritos or Cheetos, like not that kind of ultra processed stuff isn't going to really work for this. So something that's whole food, natural chocolate, dried fruit, uh, dried tomato. I don't know. Maybe you got to really stretch in your pantry. Um, the other thing you can do is use some sort of scent. So this is like an essential oil that's like a mixed floral blend. You could do something like that as well, or your favorite perfume, or even like a favorite candle. Just something that you can taste and or smell. So I want to give folks a few minutes to get settled. So let's say for the next 3 minutes, you organize your space. Again, pillows, blankets, socks, sweater, scents, some snacks, even if it's just a beverage, right? So I have my ever-present green tea here in my mug. You can also
Tea.
do it with a liquid. Yes. For those of you that don't know me, I'm obsessed with green tea. So go ahead and gather your things. And for those people that are just hanging out who aren't able to do it, I am going to share that if you haven't seen me for a while, you may notice that I have a bunch of new ink on my arm. So this is a 2-day tattoo process. I found a new artist here in the Bay Area. She's about an hour away, but it was totally worth the BART commute. And I'm gonna be working on some content over the next few months around how kind of really intense tattooing is almost like a meditation process and some of these practices actually come into play, right? Especially when we do the breath and the pause and the presence. Like all of this was absolutely in play when I was in the chair for 6 hours straight, 2 days in a row in like extreme pain. So if you see that you're not imagining it, it is brand new. And Christopher, you're raising your hand. I see you.
To Andrea's point, and this is for all of us, you can do anything tantrically. So one of the ways to think about tantra is to being bringing your full attention to the present moment, right? So that's going to be the theme that runs through all these exercises is how do I bring all of myself to it? And I had a comment or two like, hey, I'm struggling with ADHD too. And so as part of this, in these exercises, please know you literally can't do them wrong.
Yeah.
So whatever comes up for you in the exercises, you are going to notice it, right? And that's part of what we want you to do all the way through. So there are two skills that I want you to be mindful of. One is how do I do this thing and bring all my attention to it and then notice? what happens as I try to do that, right? As long as you're noticing, even if nothing happens, you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Do you want to talk about the narration also? We talked about adding in the skill of the observation, yes, but also the narration.
So this is erotic within, right? And so erotic within, and the way I like to think about a lot of these skills is we want to scaffold them, right? We want to build on. So the erotic within, Andrea is exactly right. I made this note earlier when she was giving the opening. Not all sex acts are erotic, and not all erotic experiences are sex acts, right? So eroticism is that sense of aliveness that we have. So the erotic within is what we want to cultivate a feeling of excitement, arousal, um, aliveness, a sensory perception in ourselves, the erotic within, the aliveness within. The narrate, and that's why I want you to observe, right? So that's the first step if we scaffold this stuff, right? So I want to bring my attention to a thing, and then I want to notice what happens. And then the second level of the scaffolding, and this is practice with a partner or partners, I want to narrate what happens in me to my partner. This is our intro to dirty talk, y'all, which is kind of a next level one. But narration is the some of the hot, if people who do it really well, is some of the hottest dirty talk you can have. So those are the kind of three skills. I want to do a thing. I want to bring my attention to it. One, I want to notice what happens, observe it. Two, and then I want to practice being able to narrate it, right? You can start by telling yourself what happens. But then, like the next level stuff is say it to the partner, right? Oh, y'all. Okay, I'm getting ahead of ourselves. So we're going to practice today on bringing our focus to the thing and observing what happens. Can't do it wrong. Can't do it wrong. No matter what comes up, you're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, our July event is going to be, I'm going to drop this into the chat. It's going to be the multi orgasmic experience. So we taught that class last year and it was super fun. I'm also going to drop in for anybody who is not yet connected my different links for Patreon and G-rated stuff on social media. Okay, so to preview what we're going to do, we're going to drop into our practice space now. We're going to start with kind of an opening, kind of grounding meditation that I will do. And then I will guide you into a self-touch practice. If you want to explore this with a person that's with you, great. If not, this is actually really great to do on your own. And you're just going to be touching your arms and your body and maybe your face. So you're welcome to add in some genital touch. We will only have about maybe 5 or 7 minutes per practice. So up to you. Um, then Christopher is going to lead us into a breath practice, which is the basic Tantra breath that he learned from one of his teachers. Then we will do the eye gazing practice, and then we'll end on the delicious taste or smell practice. So, if there any questions in the chat that we need to tend to before we drop in?
No.
Okay, great. All right, everyone. So again, hopefully you're as comfortable as you can be in this moment. And I want you just to close your eyes if it's safe to do so. And just notice in this moment, like Christopher said, use your observation skill where your mind is, where your body is. See if you can feel your own heartbeat. Maybe you notice something in your mouth, a taste, an aftertaste, a thirst. Maybe you notice something in your belly, a hunger or an upset or a tingle or a nervousness or an excitement. I can feel my heart beating rapidly because I'm excited to be teaching. I can feel the wind from my open window on my bare skin. And as I start to drop in, I can feel everything slow down. And maybe for you, Closing down your eyes doesn't feel like slowing down. Maybe it feels like speeding up. Just notice that and see, as long as you feel safe, see if you can stay with that. And I want you to notice where your sit bones are, where your pelvic floor is, where your butt is, in the chair or on the ground. And just for a couple of breaths, just pause, focusing on your bum. Just notice how it feels. Notice if you're holding any tension in your pelvic floor, in your internal muscles, or externally in your external muscles like your glutes. And then imagine that there's some weight pulling you down from your pelvic floor, from your bum, from your tailbone. That's kind of pulling you in to the earth, to the soil. And imagine that you start to grow roots like a tree. And your roots might feel delicate and slow moving, or they might be very big and bold and want to keep drilling into the soil around you. No right way to be. But imagine that those roots keep you steady throughout the rest of our time together. And that if you start to feel ungrounded or dizzy or spacey or disconnected, remember that you are like the trees and that you can root down again and again and again to feel yourself connected to the earth, into your own body, and then, of course, into your breath, which we'll get focus on in a moment. And just notice your breath. You don't have to change it. You don't have to do anything. Just notice it and use your observation skill. Does it feel shallow and in the top part of your chest? Or does it feel deep and calming in your lower body, in your diaphragm, and in your belly? And then notice your heart, your physical heart. See if you can tend to the beating. Notice the dance of your heartbeat and your breath inside of you. This is the interoception. It's one of our hidden senses, feeling what's happening within your body. And it is very important. So see if you can tap into that sense right now. And then notice your head. Is your mind active, distracted, pulled in a bunch of directions like mine often is? Or are you able to slow it down and find a point of focus? And take a few breaths there, just observing your mind. And with this next breath, see if you can feel all of this together. Your roots, your pelvic floor, your belly, your heart, and your head. Can you hold all of these together in this one perfect space, in this one perfect moment, and be as present as possible with all of the things that you are, with no judgment, no need to change, but with a gentle, soft observation of who you are and what your energy is in this moment. And stay here for 5 more breaths. I'm going to breathe with you. You may not be able to hear it on Zoom, but I'll breathe with you. And from this place of stillness, we're going to very gently transition. You may keep your eyes closed if that feels good. If you want to open your eyes back up, you are welcome to. We're going to move into a touch practice that, again, can be self-touch, or if you have somebody there with you with whom you want to share this experience, you can do that as well. I'll include instructions both ways. What I want you to imagine is that touch is not just one thing. I like to think about it as 4 layers of touch. The first layer is the energetic. So I want you to imagine, and what you can do is you can hold your hands maybe over your face or over your chest or your breasts, maybe just over your arms, just like an inch or so away, a couple centimeters away, and see what you feel. Just take some breaths, be curious, and notice if you can feel your own hands on your body, or if you're with somebody else, holding your hands against their face, a couple inches from their face or a couple inches from their chest. Notice the energy that is in your hands, pulsing, moving, present. And then if you're receiving the touch or if you're touching yourself, notice what the receiving of that is like. This energetic presence of touch, for many of us, can be just as powerful as the touch itself. And when you start to tune in to the energetics of the touch, you can create some really powerful experiences. It's both the anticipation of the touch and the very real felt heat, presence, lingering awareness of a touch. So when I first learned this, I learned this just on my forearms. And the idea is that you can kind of move energy across your own body or across somebody else's body without touching them at all. So play with that for another moment with yourself or with another. If you're working on yourself, try a different part of your body. If you used your arms, try your chest, maybe your legs, maybe your face. And just notice. And remember, you can't do it wrong. This is all a lovely experiment in sensation, observation, and presence. So as long as you're here, you're doing it right. The next layer of the touch is this barely there touch. So again, if you do your own arm, just barely touch the hairs on your arm. And you can do this on your face. You can do this on your belly or your chest or your breasts or your legs. Just barely touching the hair and the hair follicles on your arm. Just to start to wake up those nerves. And if you're touching somebody else, it takes a little bit more awareness to make sure that you don't touch them, but just stay on the peach fuzz or the hair of their body. You can also do this on the top of your head and just barely touch your hair, just to start to wake up those nerves, those nerve endings. Remember to breathe. Remember to be curious and non-judgmental. And stay there for another moment. And when you're ready, we'll move to the third layer, which is the very soft touch. So use your fingertips or maybe just the tips of your fingernails to just barely graze the skin. Just the tiniest bit of pressure, 5% of your strength, 2% of your strength if you lift weights. Just touching this first layer of your skin, activating what are called the slow twitch nerve fibers. These are different nerve fibers than our fast twitch, which will take our hand off the stove if we touch something hot. That's quick. We don't recognize it immediately. We feel it after. But slow twitch nerve fibers need this very slow activation. And however slow you're going right now, I want you to slow it down by half and see how slow you can go. You can touch your forehead, can touch your face, your neck, your chest and your breasts, your belly. See if you can wake up all the nerve endings in your whole body with this slow touch. As I do this, I can feel goosebumps on my arms and legs. I can feel my nipples get hard. So just notice what happens in your body. Remember to breathe. Remember to be curious. And notice what's going through your mind as you touch yourself. Do you have appreciation for your skin? Or do you have judgments? Are you observing the sensation, or are you getting lost in your thoughts about what could be or should be? Slowing down our touch necessitates slowing down our minds as well, and coming back to the breath, back to the touch, back to the sensation, again and again. Our final part of this practice is to add some strength. So I call this the loaf of bread. So imagine that you are making a beautiful loaf of sourdough and you are squeezing your arms, maybe the backs of your shoulders or your neck, that very grippy, soothing, kind of massage-like touch. And if you're doing this on somebody else, ask them if they want more or less pressure to start to gauge where their limits are. Remember to breathe. And just continue to be curious about your body, about your body's response. Be curious about your mind and what happens in your brain as you start to touch your body in these different ways. And then, for just a moment, bring your attention to your genitals and just notice if they're on board. Are you feeling any tingling? Are you feeling any awareness or sensation? Can you connect the physical touch of yourself or another to any physiological turn on? Are these connected for you? Or does it feel separate? There's no wrong answer, just what's true for you. So continue squeezing, kneading yourself as if you're the most delicious loaf of sourdough or pizza dough. And see how that's different from the others. And take another few minutes with that. Or one of the other ones that you liked a little bit more, the energetic, the barely there, the slow, gentle touch, or the bread. And just stay with the one that you like the best for just another minute. And you can stay in this space with your eyes closed, or if it feels better, you can transition. And I'll have Christopher lead us through about a 5-minute breath practice. 5 to 7. Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Shoot me one word in the text about what came up for you either during the grounding or in the touch exercise. And I'm going to wait till I get a few of yours, and I'm going to put mine in there, and then we'll process it after we're done with the tantric breath. But just before we close out those two exercises that Andrea led us through, one word about touch and or grounding that came up for you during the exercise. Oh, memories. What else? One word that came up for you. Two words. Great words. Hard nipples are great words. Tingling. Okay. Interesting. Awakening. Interesting. Okay. That's that sense of aliveness. What came up for me was disgust. And so I'll talk about that later. Got a relaxing in here. Good. Good. So again, none of us are doing it wrong. None of us are doing it wrong. Relaxed, soft. Great. And mine, I'll put it in here. Mine was disgust. Pain. I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. This will lead to a rich discussion after. So I hope
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'm going to set my timer and I'm going to teach you the basic Tantra breath. Let's see. Oh, great question. Then you're not doing it wrong. And I'll speak more about that. This is a great question. What if you can't wake up that aliveness or feel shut down? First of all, you're not doing it wrong. Just knowing that is, you did it. You did it. So then I'll talk more about that in the Q&A, but it's great. I'm going to star this and come back to it. Okay, Tantra basic breath. What I want you to start with is I want you to start breathing into your pelvis like it's a bowl you can fill with your breath. Then I want you to add your belly. So breathe into your pelvic bowl and then fill up your belly and exaggerate it. Expand your belly, which is exactly contra to what we're told in US culture and in Western culture, where we're taught to suck it in. Okay. So in Tantra, we want to expand. So breathe into that pelvic floor, fill it up, and then fill up your belly and exaggerate. Stick your belly way out. Okay. Then finally, what I want you to do is breathe from your pelvic floor into your belly, into your chest, like you're filling up a pitcher with that oxygen. Stick the belly out, fill up the chest. When you exhale, reverse it. Inhale, pelvic bowl, belly, chest. Exhale, deflate chest, belly, bowl. One more. Fill bowl, belly, chest. Exhale, empty chest, belly, bowl. Keep that going and add a rock back and forth. So fill yourself up with breath. Deflate the opposite way and rock. Oh, good. Keep rocking. Keep filling the pitcher. Keep emptying the pitcher. And then add a squeeze of your pelvic floor, your PC muscle specifically, like if you were going to pee and then somebody rang your doorbell and you needed to cut off the stream. So squeeze that muscle and let it go. Don't keep it tense. Just pump it once and then let it go. We're going to put all three of those together for the final 3 minutes. Fill the bowl, your belly, your chest. Keep rocking and add a squeeze. Don't worry if you turn yourself on, you may be doing it just right. Don't worry if you're getting confused about all the steps and lose it somewhere. Just pick up wherever you remember you're doing it just right. If you think all this is bullshit, then you're doing it just right. Just think it's bullshit while you keep rocking and squeezing and breathing. Fill the pitcher. Good girl, Andrea. Y'all are doing great. If you're getting distracted by your sex switch, then you're doing it just right. If you're laughing at yourself or your partner or me, You're doing it just right. If you had to opt out because it got to be too much, you're doing it just right. Fill the bowl, stick out the belly, fill your chest, squeeze the breath out the other direction. Like your breath was toothpaste in a tube. Squeeze it out, keep rocking. Did you forget to squeeze the PC muscle? Okay, it's okay if you did. Just add it in. You can squeeze at the top of the inhale or at the bottom or in the middle. You literally can't do it wrong. Ah, ah. About 30 more seconds. Fill the pitcher, pour it out. Rock back and forth. Squeeze your PC muscle. If you get distracted, you're doing it exactly right. 2 or 3 more breaths. Now, what I want you to do, stop rocking, squeeze your PC muscle quickly 2 or 3 times, tilt your head forward, and put your tongue at the roof of your mouth. Lock in that energy that you built. Let your tongue fall to the roof of your mouth. Gently bring your head up. And put one word in the chat for me about what happened to you during the tantric breath. One word. Dizzy, that makes sense. Heat also totally makes sense. If you're like Andrea and you got dizzy, be sure that you sit. Don't go running around because this tantric breath builds energy. Confused, I feel that. I feel that. Pressure. Okay, interesting. I'm curious with that. Pressure brings up a lot of curiosity in me, but I know we got other things to do, so I'm going to come back around to that because I'm curious if it's psychological pressure or if it's physical pressure or both. Let's see. Physical. Okay, physical. Got it. Got it. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for doing the basic Tantra breath.
Yeah, the feedback is great. Thank you, everyone. And I was doing it with you, and he said one word, so I said dizzy, but actually turned on was the other one. Those of you that have seen me in workshop before know that when he leads practices and leads us into his breath, it's really hot. All
Yeah,
right.
and for me, fun came up. I just put that in the chat. That's what it was. And it's not exactly a feeling, but that's kind of what I got.
Yeah. The feeling is joy.
Yeah.
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 The next practice I'm going to invite you into is eye gazing. So, again, you can do this with a partner. I see there are some pairs on here today, which is great. If you're by yourself, you can do this in a mirror. And if you don't have a mirror handy or you can't do that and also listen, then try it on your phone. It's not the best, kind of sense of it, but it'll give you a chance to get some of the practice. So, if you're with a person, I want you to sit across from each other in a way that's really comfortable for both of you. And if you are right-handed, then you are going to have the person gaze into your non-dominant eye. So I am right-handed, so that would mean if I was sitting across from someone, they would be looking into my left eye. So do your partner a favor and point to your non-dominant eye so they know where to go. Right. So if I was sitting across from Christopher, I would then focus my gaze into his non-dominant eye. And the practice is simply to gaze, to breathe, to notice, and if it feels possible, to practice unconditional self regard unconditional regard for the other person. If you are doing this with yourself and you are looking into a mirror, you will do the same thing. You will look into your non-dominant eye and you will gaze at yourself. For so many of us, this can be very confronting, whether we're with someone or on our own. So I invite you into that observational skill of just noticing when you might fall into judgment, distraction, disgust, pain, dizziness, joy, anything that else might be coming up. So if you are gazing into your own eye, we are practicing unconditional self-regard, unconditional self-love. Notice your breath. See if you can get a little bit more comfortable. If you're practicing in your phone, you will do the same thing. You won't have exact eye level gaze, but you'll get the sense of what it looks like, what it feels like to stare into your own eyes. When we do this, we can start to see deeper levels of connection. We can start to see somebody's inner child. You can imagine them as a small person, as a baby. Maybe imagine them when you first met and all the love that you had for them. Imagine them as their present self and how much love you have for them now. Imagine them as their older self and how much love you'll have for them at that point. And when we gaze, you may have emotions arise. A lot of people cry. Some people giggle because it can feel really confronting. Some people get really freaked out. Again, everything is welcome. So I want you to stay in this. I'm going to watch the clock for 2 more minutes. I want you to stay in your space. Just focus on your breath. I won't talk. We will let you have these 2 minutes of self-gaze, starting now. Mm. 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 Ah. All right. Start to come back from anything and everything that might have come up. And give yourself maybe a little bit of a shake or, wiggle your butt in your chair or on the ground. Sometimes uh, this for me is often a quite intense practice, and it may have been for you too. And again, if you didn't feel anything or if it feels dumb, that's okay too. So I'd love to, once you come out of it, once you're ready, to have you drop another word into the chat. See how that one felt. Oftentimes when I do eye gazing, I tear up, I cry with overwhelm, with beauty, with love. Somebody told me yesterday, every time I do eye gazing, I always end up in tears. Great. Maybe you feel a deep love. Maybe you feel, okay, feel old. Got it. Silly. Yeah, it's different practicing on Zoom for sure.
Oh, love.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good. Great. Loneliness and overwhelmed and tearful. Yeah. Like Christopher said in the beginning, Tantra is, you can do anything tantrically. And it really is about giving yourself the space and the grace to feel the entire range of your human experience. All the delicious, ecstatic rainbows and unicorn and orgasm stuff, and also the overwhelm, the loneliness, the tears, the grief, the rage. That is just as beautiful and just as sacred as the orgasms and the connection. Connected. Great.
Yeah, I really see and feel the loneliness bit. So I see you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, we'll drop into our last practice for the next few minutes. So gather your edible thing or your
Chocolate time.
just chocolate time. So if you're using chocolate or fruit, just use a small bite. We don't need a lot of it. You're not actually snacking here. We're just going to use this as like a mindful touch or a mindful scent experience, right? So taste and scent are deeply intertwined. And um, this to me is one of the things that we can really cultivate in our self pleasure and in our partnered pleasure is to really bring in the senses of taste and smell. I am a deep sensualist, and so for me, that is often how I get the most turned on. For other people, it might be kind of secondary. Maybe you're more visual, but this will give you a chance to really drop into the taste of it. So, um, whatever piece of food or fruit or scent that you've chosen, I want you, so I'll do it with a bottle of essential oil because that's what I have, and Christopher has the chocolate. So, what I want you to do is take the thing, whatever it is, and just, yeah, just smell it. Just kind of far away and close your eyes and really be present. Imagine that the scent of the thing is touching every single one of your olfactory nerves. Imagine it like traveling through your nose into your brain, being processed. And see if it's just a scent, see if you can actually feel it in your throat, right? Like these are connected, these senses. And see if you can use that observation skill to put some words to that. It smells like chocolate is one observation. Does it smell warm? Does it smell cool? Does it smell sweet? Does it smell spicy? This is a mixed essential oil, so I can pick out some of the different notes of the different florals. Notice how it smells at the beginning, in the middle, and the end of a breath. And then take a really deep breath and imagine that you can take the scent all the way into your whole body. And if you are using a food thing, then I want you to put the food thing in your mouth. Do not chew it. Do not suck on it. Just put it on your tongue and let it sit there, right? So a raisin or a dried fruit is really good for this practice because it feels so different. So just feel the thing in your mouth. Notice what it does to your tongue. Notice what it does to your salivary glands. See if you can still smell it, even though it's in your mouth, right? Connecting the taste and the scent senses. And if you're using chocolate or a fruit, some of those, it might start to melt a little bit as your saliva gets activated. It's going to start working on that piece. And just see if you can stay, see if you can stay with that sensation of the flavor and of the taste. And notice maybe that you're giggling. Notice if it tastes good. Notice if you really like the flavor of it. Maybe you start to feel some of the saliva build up and drip down the back of your throat. And can you find the play in that and the sensuality in that? And now, if you have a piece of food in your mouth, I want you to kind of swirl it around. So, depending on what type of food it is, this may be easier than others. If it's a raisin or a piece of dried fruit or a piece of chocolate, you can imagine kind of swirling it around. How does it change if it touches your teeth versus the front of your tongue, the tip of your tongue, or the back of your tongue? How does it change what's happening in your throat or in your salivary glands? I'm not eating anything right now, but but with guiding it and with watching Christopher, I can feel my salivary glands activated, even though my essential oil is just flowers, not food. So just notice what's happening in your body. And then if you want to, start to just barely like put your teeth into it. Like don't crunch it or eat it yet, but just like sink your teeth into it if you can, really slowly. See how that changes it. And stay with it for another 30 seconds or so, just observing what's happening in your mind, mouth, nose, throat, belly, body. And when you're ready, you can chew your food of choice and see how that changes the experience. So a raisin is really good to do this with because you can keep it in your mouth for a long time and kind of feel all the different textures and wrinkles and feel the sweetness without actually kind of breaking it open. It's really cool. A date would be really good. A golden berry would be really good. All foods offer us a different opportunity to taste things, feel things, and smell things. And I want you to imagine how you can potentially bring that practice of really savoring something, of not just doing a thing, for example, giving a blowjob, not just giving, but how can you also love it, right? How can you learn to feel it in your mouth, to bring your sense of smell on board too, so that you get the scent of your lover's body? If you are so lucky as to get to eat pussy, imagine if you really turned on your sense of smell and got to enjoy your lover's body and the way it feels on your tongue, the way it feels in your throat, the way it feels on your mouth. This is how we start to make sex a really multidimensional, multisensorial, and very present experience. It's not about necessarily having just technique. That's important. But it's also like, can you give somebody head and enjoy it for yourself? Can I give Christopher a blowjob for me? Can he go down on me for him? The answer is an emphatic yes, and it's really great. And I invite you to bring that even into your solo play, right? Can you smell yourself while you're masturbating? Can you use your hands to taste yourself, to smell what your lovers might smell, to taste what your lovers might taste? It's a really a beautiful practice, not only of kind of self-love and self-acceptance to get really good with our bodies, to get to know our bodies and feel them, but also to again bring the senses fully on board. And taste and smell especially is deeply rooted into our primal brain, and bringing scents into your pleasure can be really powerful, right? Think like this Pavlovian response. So I invite you to consider all of those as you embark on your next pleasure adventure. So I'd love to, well, I'm actually just going to wrap the recording up. I want to say thank you. Please join us every month, the first Saturday of the month, to learn and grow and expand your mindful sex practices.